Okay, let's get right into these wild ass exhibits that Miss Laura Owens is documented behaving and acting a fool. Basically, these are what Clayton's lawyers have included in the most recent court filings on his behalf, and these are the exhibits that they included basically as evidence to say, hey, we can't let this go, we need to have a deposition, we need to have an evidentiary hearing, and this is why this is so serious. Now, this is really, really difficult to read. I'm gonna try my best. I got old woman eyes, not really, but it's still really awful to read. It's a struggle. I'm gonna try my best. I might have to skip over a few words, but hang with me. I will, of course, have the emails on the screen so you can read along and, kind of cross-check and verify my reading. And then you get to hear my interpretation of it all. I have a big thing of water by my side to hopefully suppress any coughing to the best of my ability. Clayton, I have prayed that this email will have an impact on you, unlike my others. Already, off the bat, that's so threatening and really, really dark sounding. It sounds like a villain wrote that. It's truly the last you'll get from me where abortion is a possibility. Can you imagine dangling this over someone and that ultimately they're saying that abortion is the last possibility because they are trying to corner you into test driving a relationship? That's just so evil and ugly. Very, very ugly. I have taken time to reflect on what I have been going through with our pregnancy and how you have acted towards me. And here's the thing. Continue paying attention to this through all these exhibits that I'll be reading today. She keeps up with this egotistical, self-centered language. It's always I, me, my, mine, myself, me. What you do to me. And it's just, that's that victim mentality coming out. Her cognition is so based from her perspective, and she is so divorced from the thought of having to consider other people's feelings and perspectives, and does not even, and of course, since she doesn't consider them, she doesn't take into account how they interact with her perception of the world. This just shows a woman who has been, for all intents and purposes, very babied, and told she's special, and has not really been exposed to the realities of the world or grown up past the mental age of 15, 16, when you're at your most self-absorbed. It's really wild. You've shown no compassion or empathy, while I have been endlessly patient with you and provided you with an absurd amount of evidence that I'm pregnant. Now, Laura, have you really been endlessly patient, considering you have been blowing him up? And we know from court documents that you have sent him at least 500 communications about this, about a blowjob, baby. I've been completely honest with you, as displayed by my willingness to send you anything you've needed at any time, and proven to you that based on when my pregnancy test became positive, that there isn't a doubt that you are the father. Again, circle back to the whole idea of this I, me, my stuff. It's just interesting. It's something that I always recognize when she says based on when my pregnancy test became positive, not based on when the pregnancy test became positive. It's that weird kind of slant that you see throughout this, the unnecessary centering of herself on things that are not an extension of her or part of her being claimed as from her perspective. Does that make any sense? Maybe, maybe not. I understand that you, and of course the court, want a paternity test, and I've proactively been trying to schedule that with 3 different labs. I've connected with Choice DNA, ArcPoint Labs, and any lab test now to see when is the soonest we can do it. If I weren't pregnant with your child, wouldn't I be avoiding that at all costs? You also, of course, know that I was accepted as a patient at Scottsdale Perinatal Associates. If I weren't pregnant, why would a high-risk specialty practice that only accepts clients based on records that verify their pregnancy and their condition take me as a client? You have also been provided with recordings of 2 phone calls with the staff at Scottsdale Perinatal Associates that confirm their receipt of the ultrasound from Planned Parenthood and verify the pregnancy, along with acknowledge the fact that we will speak about the possibility of twins with the doctor on July 24th. In addition, you asked for photos quote unquote, within the hour of abortion pills to verify that I had gone and got them. However, would I have been able to send photos of and with the pills with my name on it if I hadn't actually gotten them? In addition, why did I offer to take a pregnancy test immediately when I got to your apartment? And why would it have been positive if I wasn't pregnant? Again, this is where you're going to see her really attempt to do gaslighting in its fullest. She is selecting choice words. She is trying to pin and create a different reality for Clayton and force him into accepting that, oh, I might be pregnant with your blowjob babies. And so this is how we see, and she later weaponizes this. She has used all this mind fuckery that she'll later weaponize against him and say, well, he started thinking I was pregnant. Yes, because you twisted the truth. And you sat there and you became so manipulative with this information that she knows if she says, well, if I did this, why not? Anyone who's been in any kind of abusive situation knows this type of referencing that she's doing. They intimately know it and they can see it. If you haven't been there, it's really, really confusing, right? Because you're like, well, I guess maybe there is truth. Why would she be doing all this if that weren't true? Because she's fucking off her rocker. Okay? That's the answer. But for people like Clayton who are a little bit innocent on this matter and naive, and I say that in a kind way, not rude, it's not Clayton's fault, obviously, that he fell into this trap. It's her. She's the perpetrator here. She's the one acting like this. But you can kind of start to understand how an innocent person might get wrapped up in this and be like, well, maybe she is. What the fuck's going on? I could have sworn that these were the facts. And so that's how someone like this starts to shape a different reality. Now, this is where it kind of gets a little bit more difficult to read, so bear with me, please. No person in their right mind would think that there was a chance that my pregnancy wasn't real, so your lack of belief in it makes no sense. We are coming up on 2 weeks of me, the mother of your child, being blocked on text messaging and every platform after you said that it was immature of you to have done it before and that you would not do it again. Here you see that emotional, egotistical injury again. It's a theme. But we can see from this sentence alone that something that has pissed her off and that she feels the need to exact retribution on Clayton over is him blocking her. And she feels indignant because she is the mother of his allegedly imaginary children. Mull that over for a second. You promised to support me. It's been humiliating to have to rely on emailing to communicate with you that have been equally bonded to. And when they have, you haven't been kind-hearted because Laura feels entitled to kindness at all times despite her behavior. I have poured my heart out to you as I've explained why this decision is so difficult for me because my father is dying right now. Laura, if your father is dying right now, why are you wasting all this time writing a dozen paragraphs, guilting a man and trying to put him in a place where he feels pressured to give you attention? That's on you, not on Clayton, that this is how you are wasting your finite time with your father. This reflects more on you than it does Clayton because your character has you obsessing over this egotistical injury because you were blocked, because you were acting a fool. And I just think the audacity to bring that up as a point of manipulation to get him to talk to you really says a lot about you in a negative way. I've explained that the circumstances feel all too personal because my grandmother was almost aborted. What the fuck kind of... Oh my god. At this point, I look stupid for continuing to respond to your endless requests for evidence when you have been provided with so much more than you needed. Laura, again, manipulation. You provided him with half-truth evidence. You provided him with screenshots of you making an appointment on Teledoc, which is not sufficient evidence for being an active patient someplace. How do I know? Because I can schedule appointments at plenty of places and then they will accept it, but they really don't accept it because they'll call you a week or so later. They're going to run your insurance, all that. and then you have to forward your medical records over. But you will get that acceptance email, and this is how she framed that information in a compelling light, and someone who's not any wiser might believe it. It was humiliating to pee on a stick in front of you. Yet I did it. And when this test came back positive, you still didn't believe it? Do you really think anyone would agree with the amount of you have questioned me despite all the documentation you have been given? Again, he wasn't given documentation. He was giving easily manipulated information. I never would have threatened to go to the media. There she herself admits to it. So again, when she says that she wants privacy, let us just return back to this email that she herself sent from her fingertips on her keyboard. If you hadn't told me at the start of this that you would do just that if the pregnancy wasn't real because, quote unquote, people like you need to be held accountable. And yes, sis, he's right. People like you do need to be held accountable. And I am an advocate for women. And I think that you are, and people like you are the reason that there are so many people who like to dismiss our movements. Your behavior after discovering that I wasn't lying has been selfish. You haven't stepped up as a 30-year-old man would be to be there for the mother of his child when you are half responsible for the situation, which is cowardly. Ooh, girl. I have told you why mental health matters so much to me because of what I have gone through, and opened up about a dark family secret that my grandma committed suicide and how it impacted my dad. You didn't even have the decency to respond to me. So here she is, admitting to weaponizing her quote-unquote suicidal ideation to try to get this man to pay attention to her. And we know, based on evidence that has been submitted in her previous court case with Greg Gillespie, that she, and I think his name is Marachino, he also had her do the same thing with suicide. It's a pattern. Given your behavior, I have absolutely no issue going to the media anonymously after the paternity test and leaking, quote unquote, what I have attached to the Dropbox file. I don't even need to explain the story because your words and harassment of me say it all. If this is how you choose to treat me, I have absolutely no allegiance or loyalty to you and would be fully convinced that your mission and attempt to stay in the public eye, which kills me to say because I really think that deep down you do care. I have been praying and praying for you to show me who you really are. God keeps telling me that you are a good person and someone whose life I can enhance. So I don't know why things have been as they are. I honestly wish he would be telling me differently because it's hard to keep believing in someone who is so demeaning in these circumstances. If the man you have been is who you are, you deserve to be held accountable. But my God, I don't want to do that. So here she is again, threatening him, giving him ultimatums, trying to pull this whole angle that she's speaking to God. Okay, Laura, you can't say you haven't been given a voice when I have told you that I will have an abortion if we try things out for a few weeks and have a good reason for aborting a child. Again, manipulation. This is so toxic. So fucking toxic. So far, it seems like you want to terminate the pregnancy because you don't want to grow up and because it would impact your dating life. These are not good enough reasons to end a life. These words feel menacing because you know I like you and want to try things out with you. I don't deserve to feel hurt at this point in my life and my pregnancy when I haven't done anything to deserve it. So here you see why she's using the pregnancy against him, because she wants him to treat her with kid gloves, to be gentle with her, and to capitulate to whatever she wants. Yep. It's really, really clear as day. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Laura, the words you choose and the ones that you don't choose say a lot about you, and when you're not self-aware, you don't realize that. I have no desire for money because I have more than enough. Okay, Laura, then why don't you pony up those attorney's fees, I have no desire for fame. I experienced what that was for the entire time I was in San Francisco. This is so snooty and Ugh. I completely understand why you would be suspicious of women being after you for being on The Bachelor, but that is so not me. And in fact, I think that's the least interesting thing about you. Here she is trying to butter him up. I have never felt more empowered in my life than when we were doing real estate together and crave feeling that confidence again. Here she is trying to build him up and saying, you made me feel so good, which is so weird. Like, really, one interaction about a potential real estate situation has you feeling empowered? That was because of you. There is so much more about you that I find admirable, inspiring, and sexy, oh God, and attractive. You're smarter than you think, which is like, oh my, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Do you think you know how smart he thinks he is? What the fuck? Charismatic, and capable of doing so much good in the world. I know that if you and I tried things out, we would end up elevating each other to new heights in our careers. Like I've said over and over again, you don't like me because I'm pregnant with your kid, not because of who I am. You haven't gotten to know me, and it's been your loss. Okay, so here we get to see again that emotional injury. She's feeling rejected, and that's why she's punishing him. I've shown you qualities that no other woman would during this process. You're right about that. And that includes being brave enough to stand up to you and hold you accountable for your actions. But try to hold her accountable for her actions, and it is the end of the world and abusive and yada yada yada. I know I've said it was your last chance to make a decision a lot. Yes, because you like to threaten people. But this time, I really mean it. Obviously not. I am completely at peace with the likely outcome that I will have your child. I do see a lot of hard things ahead if that's what we choose without considering an abortion. But if that's what's meant to be, it will be. You wouldn't be obliging to make the decision to date exclusively before deciding whether or not to have an abortion. I know how valuable I am as a partner, and it really would be your loss not to see that for yourself. I know I could get any man on the dating apps or the bars, so I'm by no means desperate. Girl, look what the fuck you're saying, girl. I also know that you are sexually attracted to me despite the fact that we only hooked up one time while you were very, very high. She admitting that he was maybe not able to fully consent in the moment? He got green goggles on? You obviously enjoyed it. Oh my God, this is so sick. This is so sick. This is so fucking sick. Even though you can't really have seen if we were a match based on your mental status at the time. Again, issues of consent being raised here. Being with me would be a major win for you. Ooh, gross. So you wouldn't be doing me a favor by being with me. Gross, so manipulative. I guess like the word of the day, manipulative. I would feel the same way if someone else was the father of my child. I would like to try to be together like most religious people do. And in fact, as you know, marriage was the likely outcome of an unexpected pregnancy. So I'm not asking for a lot. Oh my God. Girl, good God, girl, get a grip. Get a fucking grip. This is so sick and twisted and fucked up. And make the decision together. Maybe you would decide to keep him or her, which would be a beautiful thing. If we decide not to, maybe we would work towards having that in the future, which she's saying children. I know that we were brought together for a reason, and it's too bad that you've seen that reason as bad, just using me to guide you to another level. I come home tomorrow afternoon, so if you want us to consider an abortion, this really is our last chance because of timing and the fact that neither of us would want to end the pregnancy once there is a heartbeat. I would like to get together tomorrow night to talk and explore intimacy. Girl, what the fuck? He's not into you, whether or not you were ever pregnant with his kids. What? It's time for you to make an effort if that is something we are considering. Obviously, I would love to have sex in the future because you didn't have sex the first time. And feel like I am the safest person you could have sex with since I'm pregnant because she's trying to set up to actually get pregnant by him. But if you really think that, like you said yesterday, my goal was to date and get pregnant during this time, we can absolutely hold off on it. She's giving him like the false pretense of giving him an option. However, it occurred to me that you might believe me more about paternity if you were inside of me. Oh my God. If you were inside of me, it felt how tight I would be after not having sex in more than a year. Oh, is she admitting right there that she hasn't had sex with him? I think that's an admission. Oh my god. I am literally like dying of fucking embarrassment right now that she typed this up to someone. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Oh my god. If I were her, I would never be able to sleep again at night. Every time I would be trying to fall asleep, that line would be coming up and I would be breaking out into a hot fucking sweat at the thought that I ever said that to someone. And she's disrespecting her own self by saying this shit. But too delusional for her to be aware of it. Maybe then you'd believe that I hadn't been sleeping around. And again, you wouldn't be doing me any big favor. Having sex with me is a privilege and not something I have done for a long time. She, right there, has admitted that they have not had sex. Wrap it up. Case solved. If you either don't get back to me tonight, or if you give me the final word that you don't want to date and choose the outcome of the pregnancy, we are 100% having the child, and there is no going back. I mean it, and I am at peace either way. Really? Because she seemed so upset about the pretense about having an abortion. My mental health and well-being is affecting our child's health, and I would blame you if we have special needs kid. Oh my god. I hate how she's like legitimately be like, blood's on your hands, I blame you. Like, what, girl? Sit the fuck down! And discover that my stress, hormones, and blood pressure caused that. I just need you to make a decision. Clearly, given the evidence I have given throughout the process that I have put together in the attached Dropbox file, I am pregnant. I have proactively worked to arrange prenatal paternity tests myself, which should prove to you that I know you're the father. There really are only these two outcomes, so if you want to keep believing there's not a pregnancy or that you're not the father, you will be sorely mistaken and it will be too late for us to consider an abortion. I would have no issues going to the media after the prenatal paternity test to expose your horrible treatment of me during this time and lack of compassion despite your mission. Fuck, man. And so here she is dreaming up an alternate reality. If you would stay with me for a few weeks to get me to have an abortion and then block me to go MIA as you have said in the past, please don't make that decision. I am talking about really giving things a shot in a different way that either of us have had in the past, since this is a unique circumstance. If you wouldn't be excited, don't make that choice. If you're truly not into me, I would rather stick with my morals and have a child, which like doesn't make sense. Because she's like, we could raise a child together, it'd be so great. I don't want you to stress me out during my pregnancy if you might make me have a child with special needs, but if you're not into me, I'm gonna make you have a child. Like, what? I am only considering an abortion because I know that's what you want, so if that alone doesn't make me stand out from the other woman, what do you mean? You think that he's just knocked on multiple women? And she's like, well, if I have an abortion, I'm different. I'm not like the other women. I'm special. Good luck finding one who would care that much to sacrifice their own values and morals because they believe in your mission. Now, Laura, wouldn't that kind of be a turnoff if you're dating someone and you see that they're so easily willing to sacrifice their morals and their values just to keep someone in their orbit? To me, that's a red flag and tells me that you're not a person of integrity. I would trust and respect you enough for you to make the decision on your own as to whether or not we have the abortion. Do you realize how big of a deal that is for me to offer? I would love to be a mom and want that in the future more than anything in the world, but God and you, depending on what you decide, are responsible for deciding when that is. Well, Laura, by your flawed logic and sprinkled throughout here despite you dangling abortion over his head, didn't God already make that decision for you if this is a real thing? If it's now, I would be thrilled. Well, apparently it is now. What? But I really do believe in you and the message you want to spread, so please show me that my faith in you isn't misplaced. Ooh, the manipulation. I would also be so appreciative of the consideration you would be showing for my feelings and why it would be important for me that I would promise to keep everything that happened between us. You need to understand that allowing you to make the decision would be the biggest leap of faith and sacrifice of my life. So if you don't appreciate that, go find someone else and we will move forward having the child. She's basically saying, if you reject me, I'm going to keep you in my grasp and have someone else, but I'm going to make your life hell. If you don't respond, I know you will end up regretting because I am offering to give you not just a say, but the say in the outcome of her pregnancy. In my heart, I think we will both regret not exploring the abortion option because there will be no going back after this. Again, completely contraindicates her earlier being like, I don't want to have an abortion, like I don't want to do this, I want to be a mother. So like what's the tea here? She's being so wishy-washy that it is ultimately exposing her motivations. Please let me know your decision, and regardless, please be kind. I hope we are on the same page, and in that case, hope to see you tomorrow so they can talk about intimacy and she'll try to have sex with him and show him just how tight she is. Oh my god. If not, I genuinely mean it when I say Congrats, quote unquote, on being a dad. Fucking A, man. So let's read the last set of emails and these exhibits. This is from Laura to Clayton, and the title says your choice. Clayton, this is actually the last email. How many times have we fucking heard this now? Davis said that you're not interested in resolving this amicably at all, and that nothing will change your mind. I know that there's one thing that will get you to take a paternity test and communicate, going to the media. I want to give you a heads up of what I am going to be submitting as a tip to Page 6 and New York Post. I have my read receipts turned on, so if you read this and I don't hear back, I will go ahead and submit it. Again, just so fucking manipulative. If for some reason this changes your mind, let me know. Regardless, you will have to acknowledge the situation very soon, so it's just your choice as to whether it's with the public involved or just me. All the best. And attached she has tip submission, Clayton being nice, email to Clayton listing his insults, extortion threats, established paternity redacted, borderline suicidal letter to Clayton, which is just so fucking girl conniving. The last email to Clayton, which she even has in quotes because there's so many fucking last emails, and declaration of service. And then we see a real trip, a Echard twins coming February 2024. I don't know if this is really her photo, if she photoshopped this. And last but not least, we have this absolute crazy fucking email where she's emailing a nonprofit that Clayton likes to work with, and I think that this would be a great grounds for defamation because I think this actually ended up in him being canceled as a speaker for them. Hi, my name is Laura Owens, and I'm hesitant to send this email, but felt like I needed to so that I can have a clear conscience. I would ask that you please keep the information confidential. I learned that Clayton Echard is a speaker at the Hope Conference. I am pregnant with his unborn twins, and I've filed to establish paternity with the court. Clayton has gone dark on me despite the fact that I provided him with an abundance of evidence of the pregnancy, and I'm adding this part, and that's why I'm contacting you, because I feel maliciously maligned by him not responding to me, and I am acting out. I even took a test in front of him that he purchased, which is like, why does the Hope Conference fucking care? Which came back positive. Now, he is refusing to take a paternity test. I was raped, assaulted, and left for dead in March 12, 2022. And up until my encounter with Clayton, I was not with anyone else. Like, why are you including this information? It's just to get sympathy and for people to treat her with extreme caution. But this is not relevant information. I haven't been since either. He is 100% the father. You can click the links below, including my TEDx talk, to see that I have credibility. It's very interesting that she uses this as a point of credibility for her. To say that I have been overwhelmed since I found out that I was pregnant would be an understatement. The thought of raising one unexpected child was a lot to handle, but the thought of bringing two into the world really put me over the edge with anxiety. Again, get a fucking journal. Why are you writing this to some random, nonprofit? Clayton had promised to support me after I took the positive pregnancy test in front of him, but like I mentioned, he has decided to ignore me. He has said mainly that he wants me to have full custody, but said twice that he wanted full custody and would move to another state with the twins. They are due in February 2024, and I have no idea what to expect of Clayton when they are born. I have been very scared of the future and lonely, and confided to Clayton on July 30th that I was feeling borderline suicidal. He chose to ignore me, knowing that if I hurt myself, it would kill the unborn twins. I still have not received a response. The only reason I have felt this way is because of him and how he has treated me throughout the process. He has acted like I was ugly and not worth his time or effort to try to date despite our situation. He has dehumanized me, been extremely demeaning, and has gaslit me throughout the process. The irony. The call is coming from inside the fucking house, Laura. I have wanted no money from Clayton. All I want is his support because this is a very scary time for me. I wish I had the option to just block someone and forget the pregnancy existed, but I absolutely don't have that choice. I wanted to pass this information on in case you wanted to reconsider Clayton's role as a speaker at the conference. Based on how he has treated me, he is the last person who is qualified to give a speech about suicide prevention and intervention when he doesn't even care if the mother of his children took that final action. So fucking gross and manipulative and just snake behavior. I'm sure he will try to portray me as crazy if you speak to him about this, but I assure you that Clayton is the father of the children and he knows it, which is why he is refusing the prenatal paternity test that I offered to pay for. I am attaching my letter to him regarding feeling borderline suicidal, as well as the court papers that were preserved to him to prove that we are indeed part of a paternity case. I have plenty of other evidence that the pregnancy is real should you need to see it. If Clayton can provide value to people despite this, then by all means, I support him being a speaker, and I apologize for even sending this email. I just wanted you to know that he may not be speaking for the right reason, since he clearly doesn't care about this cause as much as I hoped he did. I am putting him on this email as I have nothing to hide, and he knew I would be sending this. Thank you for your time. All the best. And then last but not least here, as far as the exhibit goes, we have a subpoena to the Amazon legal department. It says, our firm represents Clayton Echard, and they're currently in a civil proceeding. We are requesting that Amazon preserve what may be critical evidence in both cases, specifically order and purchase history related to Laura Michelle Owens. I kind of wish, since we know that her family is like bankrolling her, they had included Jan and Ron, but I think that that might be outside the scope and that might not have been granted, but just kind of, my personal input. It says spoliation notice. This letter demands that Amazon preserve and not alter any evidence relating to this matter, including but not limited to orders/purchases associated with the following identifying information. And they go on to list 8 email accounts, which I'm assuming might have been 8 that she interacted with him. And they want the itemized list of all products purchased from any of the above accounts made from May 1st to December 31st. All records of deliveries will be made to or any occupant of her living situation, and any information, real evidence, or documents that may be relevant to this matter. So, very interesting. Really curious to see what she'll hear for you to sound off in the comments down below. There will be a part 3 to this that will be covering the original Medium article, which I spent a lot of time looking for but never found until this was filed. So thank you so much for listening to this, another longer video, and I hope to have that third one up for you soon. Stay tuned, have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for listening.